Howdy, y'all. This is AR Catholic. Welcome back to my channel as we continue the adventures of Shank and Rizzo, tracking down the Marine assassins involved in some kind of strange alien cult. But first, I'm going to take 1 second to point out that Zozer Games has just published Medusa as it's a colony supplement, and it was written by yours truly, which is why, if you remember, way back when Rizzo was born on Medusa, and I rolled that randomly and said, and I'm the expert on Medusa. So anyway, check it out. I'll leave a link down in the description, everything down there. But it looks pretty cool. And check out there's a little video, like a colony um, uh, tour, if you will, colony familiarization video that Zozer makes for all of its different things. Back to our story. As we left off, our wayward heroes, our stalwart heroes who had engaged in the gunfight, and come up on the short end of it. The Shank had got shot in the head pretty right off the bat and suffered for the rest of the battle through it. Suffered from penalties from that injury, and I think that guy rolled a 12, of course, the bad guy off the from the get go, and our our local contact who was helping us out, he also got wounded, but Rizzo got very, very wounded. He's down to 4 strength. Two of his attributes reduced to 0, and that's bad news for him. And we had also determined that because they were waiting on backup. Backup showed, and we had determined last time, if I remember correctly, that the other teams had taken out that Marine, and that was the main Marine that they were after. Tulio. They took down Tulio Quezada. Well, unfortunately, not able to capture him. So that leaves 3 left. Verona was killed by the PD, as was Tulio. I'll go ahead and make that note here, just so I don't forget. Yeah, he managed to mess them up. And then fled, but they caught up with him later because the whole city is kind of on the lookout. The whole city, Nexus City, is a big bolo right now, and frankly, these guys are out of it for a while. There's no reason, especially Rizzo. There's no reason for these guys to expect to get out of their beds. They've been shot up pretty good. So the trauma teams come, the police who are working as backup and who are responding, they come. Most of them go in the direction that Shank is telling them. He went that way. He went that way. As he's holding his head that's gushing blood from the big groove cut into it from the one inch away, 1 millimeter away from the high powered assault rifle round going through his skull. But they're in Nexus City, which is a pretty advanced city. So the trauma team comes. They get all 3 of them taken to the Nexus City Hospital and treated. Those 2 are going to be okay, but we have to look at Rizzo. He's in pretty bad shape. I'm going to say that he probably is going to make it because it is an advanced trauma center. but never know. So I'm going to say to stabilize him and give it out. I'm just going to roll a for the, because they have multiple people. I'm going to give them a +3 with a 8 or better to save him, because they're trauma, but the human can only take so many bullet holes. All right. So they managed to stabilize him, but he's off in ICU, of course, because he's in a lot worse shape than these two. These two are in the little medical bay next to each other, and of course the next day, or the rest of the day actually, and the next day, it's all about filling out reports and taking legal statements, doing all the processes involved with that. Now they're really just not, you know, they're really not going to be out of the hospital to take part in the remaining 3 guys. That is just, I don't think it would be realistic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use our hostile solo rules. And I think I'm just going to use a scene resolution for these guys. I'm still going to say it's solid, but they're dealing with trained professionals who are, obviously, because the plan is to capture them, so that makes it difficult to do. They want that information, not just to gun them down, which would be easier, the whole dead or alive thing, but they want information. Let's see. There's quite a few. I think in this case, because of that, there's quite a few things that could go wrong. Cops could get shot at. These guys could go underground and hide. There's they, if they're desperate, they could try taking hostages. So I'm going to give them a +2 to their rolls to capture them. So there's 3 left, and there's squads of police. They've got drones and cameras and everybody looking for these guys. So they're going to need a 10 or higher with a +2, so just a natural roll of 8. And oops. Oh, that's what I was looking for. And the guys will just go across here. Don Woodall. Do the Nexus City PD and the marshals capture Don Woodall alive. Oh, they do. So they got Don. How about Art Jensen? Okay, they got Art Jensen too. And how about Renardo Trejo? All right, so they got 2. They didn't get the 3rd guy. Let's see what happens. There was definitely a chance of physical harm or injury. So 2d6 on the consequences. Okay, so something bad did happen. All right. 9. Damage to a useful or valuable piece of kit. All right, I'm going to say that's probably not going to. That's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to affect the PCs because it's not going to be their piece of kit. There's a. I guess it could point to that biological thing, because that's really kind of what they're after. And of course, as kind of the author of the game, I want that to. I kind of want that to go, because I'm not done with our guys yet. Okay, so did they? Okay, they didn't catch him. Did he escape? I'm going to say it's unlikely that he escaped just because of the dragnet that they have out. So on a 5 or 6, he escaped. Otherwise, they ended up killing him. All right. So he ended up getting killed. Were they able to recover the biological thing? Because no one got away. They were trying to get off planet, and that was, you know, uh, actually kind of where I was thinking things would go. But you play the story, right? But maybe they did get it off planet. All right. So did they find what they were looking for? I'm gonna say probably a 5 or 6 because if someone knew they were going to get pinched, they'd probably hide it or stash it, or possibly they got it to somebody else, some other kind of contact. They got this thing off world. So only on a 5 or 6 do they know where it's at. Oh, all right. Um, so we'll say that our third guy, the one that got gunned down, we'll say that he had it. And that's why he didn't surrender, and they found it on him. But it says that a damage to a useful or valuable piece of kit. I'm going to I'm going to give it a roll. What is that? Because it seems to make its sense because that's kind of it's valuable even in this case to the PCs. Does the does the little bio hazard thing that they've been trying to get off world, was it damaged in the gunfight where this guy was killed? I'm gonna say 5 or 6. If not, then the useful piece of equipment was he probably blew up some police cars or something in the gunfight. All right. So they managed to capture they on his dead body, they capture the the biosample. And this is all stuff that Shank learns as he's following the reports over the next couple of days. They capture 2. The last guy is gunned down. He knows from the interrogations because he's not part of that either. He's recovering in the hospital. They don't really get much. They don't get anything from the Marines. They're very tight-lipped, but they do manage when they take the last guy. They find that on there. Let's see. Uh, that guy's hurt pretty bad too. He's not in too bad a shape. Not in the best, but um, they are in there, and the the local guy and Shank they talk, they get to know each other and chit chat, but I don't I'm not going to develop the other guy anymore. He's a nameless NPC still at this point. And then he is surprised, old Shank is, when his department chief comes in. Dana comes strolling in, and she said, she says, how you doing? Sorry, I would have been here sooner when I found out what happened, but of course she's still kind of looking away because that's her mannerism. Uh, but there's a lot of, sorry, it's just busy. I knew you guys were okay, but and it took me a while before they even would let me fly down here. Too many big wigs in the same city, they said. They've never worried about that before. And she makes introductions with the other agent and whatnot. And she says, "Have you seen Rizzo?" I haven't seen him at all. They give me some updates, but he's been in the ICU the whole time. I don't even know if he's conscious. They told me he's alive. That's all I know. And so they chit chat in a friendly manner. She is genuinely concerned and glad that they are done. And she too is feeling like, okay, well, we're done with this case. But foreshadowing, they're not. Whoa. Um, Rizzo, he does start to, as he's treated, he wakes up. Now he is definitely completely confused as he's sitting there in his room, ICU, with the little heart monitors beeping and the auto doc monitoring him every second because of the bullet holes all up in him. And now he's back to just questioning everything around his faith. You know, he almost died. He died in a state of confusion. He almost died in a state of confusion. He saw his life before him. Is this is this the type of life that he wants? Is this a life that would be pleasing to the Lord? Some would say yes, some would say no, but he's not sure. But he does know that not too long ago, he was a programmer, and now he's found himself in an alley bleeding almost to death with bullet holes in him as they're chasing down a fugitive. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him do a reaction roll. This is kind of one of these spotlight kind of things. Let's see. Always get lost when I'm trying to find this thing. Let's see, which is my fault, not the book's fault. Is it hazards? Steam resolution. All right, here we go. Page 69, which I should remember that. All right, so to avoid a bad reaction, and before I had him roll as a 6 to make it easier, because it wasn't quite so dramatic, it wasn't quite so drastic. But now he has, kind of faced death. He's had that experience. So we're gonna go back to a bad reaction of 8, and we'll see what he does here. Um, I believe he's very close to resigning. I think this is the last straw, or putting an ultimatum to. He doesn't know Dana's here. She hasn't visited him yet, as he's having these thoughts. But he's very close to resigning because the because everything I just you know just explained. So let's give him a reaction roll here. 6. Right now, I believe that Rizzo actually has a penalty. Yeah. So his total is actually 5. That gives him a -3 effect. Let's see what happens. What is his negative reaction? 1. Seek solace. He's overcome by guilt, fear, loneliness, remorse, or simply retreats to a regular addiction. Um, yeah, I think that of course he's going to seek solace in his faith, and I think that's going to lead him to put in his papers. Dana comes in and he doesn't even look at her, and she's like, "Hey kiddo, how you doing?" He doesn't even say, "I'm not a kid" or anything like that. He just looks at her and he says, "I can't do this anymore. This is not where I need to be." Look, you did good. What do you mean? I don't want any of this. Is he going to resign or demand to go back? I think he's going to go. I think he's going to resign. He's going to resign. He doesn't even want to go back to the computer lab. It's like, I quit. I'm not cut out for this. This is not what I want. She, of course, tries to talk him out of it, um, and is not able to. So we're going to give one last roll as Dana walks back in. She's the next day. She's visiting uh, Shank again, hoping that Rizzo changes his mind, but he doesn't. He wants to resign. He wants to quit. Of course, he's probably he wants the marshals to finish his medical bills first, but um, he is due a certain amount of leave and time before he quits. But they managed to get, since she could visit yesterday, they managed to get Shank in there, and Shank is going to try to convince him not to. But Shank's not even really sure that he wants to convince the kid not to. I mean, the kids, kids had a rough couple of weeks, but for all that, he's done okay. So instead of coming up with a long, drawn out argument with myself, I'm just going to have a role where Shank is trying to convince Rizzo to stay on. He's like, look, you don't even have to don't you don't even have to go back out. Look, we're not going back out. This case is done. We're done with this case. But we'll get back. We'll get back to our offices. And so he's trying to, convince him with all that stuff. So between two characters where he's trying to convince the other, um, so it's going to be an 8. He does have a higher social, Shank does, but it's not that great. It's 8, so it's average. So it's not double or higher. Let's see. I don't think he has liaison. No. All right. However, I'm going to apply a -1 DM just because Rizzo is at the limit. He failed his last he's failed his last several reaction rolls, so he's really at a point where he's not interested in listening to any kind of convincing. But he's stuck in bed, so he can't he can't help but listen at least for a little bit. So this is going to be a social, and Shank needs to get an 8 or better to convince Rizzo not to resign. Oh no! That's not gonna. That's not gonna do it. Okay, so he's talking to Rizzo, and he's addressing him in his most reasonable, kind of soothing, voice. And Rizzo just blows his top. He starts screaming and he starts cussing in a way that his lord would not be particularly happy about, probably. And he just starts screaming. He loses his shit. He is all the beat the monitors start going doo, 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 his blood pressure starts shooting up, and he is just jabbing the finger. Um, and Shank is Shank's trying to hold his hands up and placate him and get him to calm back down. A couple of the nurses come back in because he set off medical. He's still kind of in critical condition still. He set off those things, and Rizzo. That when they finally get Rizzo to sit down, Rizzo will not even look at him and will not talk to him unless something really big happens. Rizzo's done. He's going to resign. He's going to resign from the Marshal Service. Wow, double ones. So, and in fact, it's so bad that Shank, as he's leaving and kind of shuffling in his hospital robes, which still in 22, 25, still don't cover your ass when you're walking down the hallway. uh, he gets back and he gets in his bed, and Dana looks at him and says, "So how'd it go?" I think he's done. He's done. And I'll be honest, I don't even think he's wrong necessarily. But man, who knows what he said, but he really misspoke and he put both feet in his mouth. And he feels bad about that. Because he said something, I'll leave it to the watcher's imaginations, so I don't have to think about it. He said something that really set Rizzo off. And by the time and really he is done, by the time he is finished um, with his healing, with before he's released back out onto duty, he's really kind of out of the picture. He does have to give depositions, and he's interviewed, but they are both flown back to New York eventually. Shank goes well before Rizzo, and it takes him. He's a couple of weeks. He's going back into the the normal office life. He's back doing his paperwork, and Rizzo is still he's still in the hospital, and then he finally comes out of a ICU, and then they bring him back to New York to finish his healing, and he's on a medical leave. He will not take Shank's phone calls. He will not answer the door. The one time that Shank tried to go visit, and Dana calls Shank into his office. I can't. I've tried to talk him out of it, but he's resigned. There's nothing we can do about it. He's got. He's gonna. I at least manage to get him some medical disability because he did get shot to shit. That was pretty close. I talked to some of those doctors down there. I said he was inches from death. Is how they put it. So, and you're right. I can't blame him either. That's It's been a long time since I've been shot, and it wasn't nearly anything like that. Some dumb bitch whose husband was cheating on her. I just got in the way, took a bullet. Nothing quite so dramatic. I mean, you're a regular hero around here, Shank. I mean, they got all sorts of videos of you guys running down the down that alleyway with your grindles, da 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 da, like you're some kind of uh, gangbusters, from the 20s, from the 1920s. But he's done. He couldn't hack it. I probably shouldn't have approved his transfer, but now he doesn't even want to go back to security. I tried to offer that, but he's done. He's says he's going to go work with his church, use some of his training reimbursement, maybe go to what do they call that, covenary, whatever, where you learn to be a preacher, whatever. Well, you win some, you lose some. I'm just glad this shit's all over. About that. You know what? I'll retire too. Fuck this. I'm done. What else is there left to do? They got all those guys. They got the thing. They got the little alien bug thing. what else is there left to do? Well, apparently there's a movement in leadership to take this back to the colonel. Oh, you mean the colonel on Tau Ceti? I mean Tau Ceti, the planet that's covered with Marines and Army people that could go and take care of the colonel before I even go home and pack my freaking bag? That colonel? Let me see if it was, maybe it was a general. I can't remember. Uh, no, general. Yeah, right. He was a general. Yes, that one. Oh, whoops, he's a general. I Why? It makes absolute no sense. Why would you even send me there? Look, I'm not sending you there. All right? Someone more important than me is sending you there. Well, I won't go. I won't. I'll resign. Your resignation will not be accepted. How can you do this? I am not doing this to you, Shank. Look, Justin, I have nothing to do with this. I want to be rid of this damn case too. But this is coming from the top. They want you to go take care of that guy, this General Meade. It has to do with that damn billionaire chick, doesn't it? Probably it does. But if you want your retirement, if you want to be able to resign, then you need to do this. All right? Look, I spent hours last night. You see these rings under my eyes? All right, it's up because of last night. I was up all night arguing with the department legal team. And the simple fact is that they have you by the balls. All right? Subsection 3, something or the other. If declared a national emergency or a national security issue, you will be compelled to remain on duty, just like they can bring back military people who have left in times of emergency. All right, look, part of it is that you're one of the few overall marshals that we have that were born off world. All right, that's part of it. But yes, I think probably the big part of it is that Renee wants you involved somehow. Maybe she's got a crush on you. I don't know. Oh, I think my head is going to burst. I cannot believe that you're going to send me to a war zone to arrest some general who says he's talking to aliens. And by myself? Are you going to say, do I have to go by myself? Well, we've got a new partner for you already, all lined up and ready to go. His name's Harry. I don't know Harry. There's no Harry in this department. Huh? He knows you, and now you get to meet him. The door opens up, and a handsome looking fellow strolls in. He offers a smile and says, "Hi, I'm Harry." Good to meet you, Justin. Friends call me Shank, and I guess if we're going to be partners now, Yes, that's good. And then the Harry reaches his hand out and shakes his hand, a nice firm, almost painful grip. So where are you from? Well, I'm new to the department. Uh, how new? Well, less than a year. And Shank turns from Harry back to Dana and says, "Are you going to hook me up with another noob? With another rook? What is wrong with you?" This rook has some qualifications that Rizzo didn't have. All right. And Shank turns on, really rounds, rounds on Harry, angry. Like what? What makes you so qualified that you've been here for less than a year? I mean, do you know where we're going? Oh, yeah, we're going to Tau Ceti. And you're okay with that? Yes, sir. And as he's rounding on him and staring Harry in the face, let's see if he notices something. I think I'm just gonna give him an investigate. I think an investigate roll. So +2 with an 8. 5. No, he does not. So what were you going to tell me about Tau Ceti and why you're so gung ho to go there? And Harry looks at Dana with a little grin, kind of a weird looking grin, like almost it's not sincere, something off from it, something uncanny about it. And Dana, she chuckles and says, "Go ahead and tell him." "Yes, sir. I'm a Transdyne Cyber Systems Law Enforcement Epsilon android, purchased by the Marshal's Office." And so Shank says, "What? You're putting me with an android? What?" "Look, I know that I assure you, Officer Shank, that I am fully capable of providing you every form of backup that your previous partner could and some that he could not. I am fully capable in the medical field and have combat reflexes, a military grade frame, and skills to appreciate that you will appreciate in the field. Also, I will be able to stand watch over your cryo sleep as we go into hyperspace to make sure that you are safe, and I will be able to provide." Okay, okay, okay. When did we start deploying combat androids? I'm not necessarily a combat android. Shut up. Well, he's not really a combat android, okay? He's law enforcement. He has investigative skills and abilities and all that. Yeah, I know he's a walking computer. I got that part. And I'm not sure why my accent changed, but I'll go back. But why you couldn't find somebody else to go? Well, between your good billionaire friend who wanted us to give top priority to your mission, and the fact that, well, Harry here has been uh, training, I guess you could say, undergoing evaluation down in Quantico at the training yards. They want to put him out in the field. They want to test him. And the storms collided, and you get to be at the center of that evaluation. that will actually be your secondary mission as you journey through space to Tau Ceti. Shank is going to have a reaction roll. Let's see what he does, because he has spent 2 weeks thinking that everything's over, just relaxing, bragging about his scar. Hey, yeah, man, that guy was tough. What you do, man? We was just bullets flying everywhere, and almost sent me to the pearly gates, and all the war stories over and over. But getting back into the routine of the office, and now he's back on now Tau Ceti. Now Tau Ceti is back on the table, and he's being sent with some kind of high-end super RoboCop android. Let's see. Oh, all right. So once he thinks about it, he calms down. So you're an Epsilon, huh? So I suppose you're not off the shelf. No, sir, I am not. Okay, we got it. No, sir, just call me Shank. Especially if we're gonna try to pretend that you're human at least a little bit. Yes, Shank. So you can back up, you're expert marksman and all that stuff. I am fully equipped with, and he goes on and lists all these subsystems and things, and Shank is just kind of nodding. He knows what some of them are just because he's kind of a techie. But he waits for him to go, and he looks at Dana. So there's no way I cannot go to Tau Ceti. There's no way I can get out of that. Not if you don't want to go to jail. Why would they send me to jail? Because they want you to go, and if you don't play ball, they're going to screw you, and then they'll screw me. Well, I guess having my own android would be kind of neat. I guess if I gotta go there. So where does Harry stay? We've got a charging station set up uh, in the security room. He's got full access and all that stuff. Hmm. So when do we go? You go in the next session. Well, we'll go ahead and call it there. I had not really planned on Rizzo not being in the rest of the in the rest of the thing, but I thought that adding an android, that just kind of came to my head. I thought that would be really cool, kind of a sort of a Blade Runner-ish twist. Um, so, and maybe I'll have some more Blade Runner-ish twists along the way. I don't know. I don't have it planned out, but um, and I'm probably not going to go change the intro either because that takes some time and. uh, but yeah, so Rizzo's gone. He just wasn't cut out for it, and I think the dice agreed. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and remember to check out Medusa. I don't think we're going there on this campaign, but it's a pretty good supplement. I liked it since I wrote it, and we will see you next time. Happy gaming.